Hi, everybody. It's me again, Wendy, with the Take Charge Cats, here for week 2 of our Tuesday lessons. And this time, instead of talking about earning money, we're talking about spending money, and specifically how this lifestyle can get a little bit out of hand. You may have heard of this expression, keeping up with the Joneses, where people are buying things and trying to increase their status with purchases to keep up with other people in their community that maybe they see as extravagant spenders and things like that. So first I want to talk about who are the Joneses a little bit more. You may see pictures like this all over people's social medias. They're going on these crazy vacations, they're eating these really good lunches, and it's easy. It's kind of easy to envy other people living your dream with designer clothes, cool cars, amazing vacations year round. And you might even start to consider living outside of your own means to keep up with these costly trends and fads. But I'm going to talk to you a little bit about why we don't want to keep up with the Joneses. Because if you take a closer look at the peers that you admire, you'll find that there's a little bit more behind just these extravagant purchases. All right. So there's 4 reasons why we don't really want to be like the Joneses. The first has to do with debt. The second is depreciating assets. 3 is, are they even actually as happy as you may think they are? And 4 is that they actually have their own Joneses that they're keeping up with. And we're going to go in depth into each one of these during this presentation, starting with their debt. So the first, they pay for their lifestyle with debt. They're not buying these cars and houses and vacations outright. A lot of times they're putting things on credit cards or getting loans with high interest rates. And there was a study that said that they found about a third of people between the ages of 30 and 49 had more credit card debt than they had savings, which is scary, right? We don't really want to do that. Is it worth having all this, nice stuff today when really we're putting ourselves in debt tomorrow? Maybe not. The second reason that we may not want to keep up with the Joneses is these things that they're buying are often depreciating assets. And I know that's kind of a weird term, but a depreciating asset is something that loses value over time due to use or wear and tear. So like a car, you may have heard this expression, as soon as you drive that new car off the lot, it's already only worth 75% of what you paid for it. So, it's same with a house, right? A house can be a depreciating asset, all the clothes that they're buying, stuff like that, all these flashy items, their value is actually decreasing over time. So a wiser use of funds would be to invest in appreciating assets or things where you're building equity, like a stock investment, or something else that is going to continue this wealth instead of just creating a facade for it. All right, 3, the Joneses aren't actually happier than you. This is a really interesting study that keeps coming up, but they tried to they tried to study, does money buy you happiness? And what they found is, if you currently make so little that you can't really cover like your basic necessities, mostly common in like third world countries, they say yes, money is going to make you happier, right? If you're making $20,000, you can't really feed yourself and your family, you're having a hard time keeping up with rent, getting a bump up to $40,000 is definitely going to help, right? But people who make above $75,000 per year their happiness sort of plateaus, right? If they make any more money than that, once they have enough to cover their bases and feel comfortable, the money part doesn't really matter that much. So that's an interesting statistic and important to think about. And also, the Joneses, on top of all this, probably aren't even wealthier than you. They just want to make you think that they are. And actually, having more money or pretending like you do could be a burden because you have to look out for fake friends and people asking you for money. You can't trust everybody automatically. So the Joneses definitely are probably facing this burden, and they don't even have the money that they are pretending like they do. All right. 4th, And this is really interesting. The Joneses have their own Joneses that they're trying to keep up with, right? So maybe you see your neighbor and they drive this fancy car, or there's a kid that you go to school with and they always have the designer clothes. That person that you are trying to keep up with, they have their own person with even nicer clothes and a nicer car that they're trying to keep up with, right? So it's just this never ending cycle. Even if you get to the point where you're like, okay, yeah, now, I made it. I kept up with that Joneses, that Jones. There's just going to be another one. And this is another fun statistic that just explains that being rich is all relative. So they asked people who are currently earning $30,000, they said, how much salary do you need? What would be good for you? And people earning 30,000 said $50,000 salary would be great. That would be perfect for me. But then they asked the same question to people who are earning 100,000, and they said, well, I need $250,000. That's how much I need, right? So our idea of what is a good income to you just increases over time, right? Once you reach that 50,000 that you say is going to be good enough for you, well, then you're going to say, oh, well, I need 100,000, right? So it's important to just do like a little check with yourself. Like, do I actually need this much money? What is actually enough for me? So no matter what stage of life you're in or how wealthy you are, you're always going to be trying to keep up with somebody else. All right. So you might be asking, how do I avoid this trap of trying to keep up with the Joneses? And really the answer is gratitude, right? Gratitude is the solution for envy. Be grateful for the things that you do have, and also take some time before making a decision or a purchase and ask if it is actually something you want. Like, why are you buying these new shoes? Is it because you actually think the shoes are cool? Or is it because everybody else has them and you want to keep up, right? Are you doing it because you value it or because other people do? And this will help eliminate purchase regret, right? I don't know if you guys have ever bought something and then like almost immediately after you buy it, you're like, why did I buy that? I wish I didn't do that. And if it's, a lot of times that happens because you're buying it to keep up with the status. And if you're buying it because it really is going to be worthwhile and valuable to you, great. And also putting that money into savings or investments, that's something that is going to be less regrettable, say, than, splurging on something just to show, some status. So this is my tip for you, and my challenge for you is this week. And if you can't continue it, continue. That'd be great. Take some time before you're about to make a purchase and think about your motives. Why are you doing it? Are you actually wanting it or not? And this could end up saving you a lot of money and directing the money that you do have to stuff that you actually value and enjoy. So thank you so much, and we'll see you again next week.